Hi, what's your name?
My name's Lucy Sanford.
So how do you, as they say, rethink calm in a calm way?
In a calm way. Well, I think a lot of people are not aware of what is actually making them not feel so good. A lot of people don't feel so good these days. And they go to the doctor and they don't have any answers. And so I think an awareness is needed. I got sick. I was the #1 real estate agent in the West End of Toronto, in one of the West End areas of Toronto for years and years and years. I was sick for 20 years. So I was going around trying to figure this out, couldn't get any answers, and then finally it was figured out after 20 years. I got away, my doctor said, oh, he had just come back from the environmental clinic in Texas. I said, Lucy, I think this is what you had. At that time I had 60 symptoms. I went away for a week to a clean environment. 56 of the symptoms went away. I got back in my high-powered BMW car at the time with all the gadgets and the electromagnetic fields, and by the time I got home, driving along the highway with the cell towers and all the fields of the car, all the symptoms came back. So I got out of town and I healed. And so now I go into environments and I actually measure the amount of, I do two things. I measure the quantity or the amount of electromagnetic radiation that comes from our normal use of appliances. For example, and this is one thing I think people just don't get. This meter will measure the amount of radio frequency radiation that's coming into this space right here from 360 degrees. So we're under the CN tower right now. So this is going to measure the radiation from that. This is going to measure the radiation from all the people's cell phones, the cell towers, antennas around the area, the Wi-Fi, etc. So this only goes up to 2,000 microwatts per square meter. That's actually a measurement of 1999 is what that actually reads. There are meters that go higher, but the safe guidelines for the Biobiology Institute state you don't want in sleeping areas more than 10 microwatts. So this is already 2,000. I'm going to turn the audio on here, and you're going to hear what our cells hear. People feel like that these days, and they go, oh my God, I feel like that. There's all these symptoms that are linked to this amount of electromagnetic radiation. Now this is not just radio frequency fields like that, but this is all our electric fields, our magnetic fields, the current that's in our house. It's all we're using so much. It's become dirty. It's become, and it's also now affecting the Earth grid. We have a magnetic field of the Earth, and it's a weave, it's an interweaving of the Earth that's across the globe. And these are magnetic lines, and now they are forced to carry all the techniques that we put into the ground. So we're going through geopathic stress as well. So I work with that too. This radiation, the electromagnetic stuff, the radio frequency fields, electric fields, magnetic fields, all of those in our common household, we have choices that we can make. So I go in, I take the measurement, I show the people the measurement. We reduce the quantity by making choices. You can make a different choice. You can use wired instead of wireless. I have on my website, lucysanford.com, a free download kit that gives you can do it yourself. It will show you. Or you can hire me, I'll go in, I'll give you the measurement, and I'll show you how it changes. People are sick. After a week of doing this, a lot of their symptoms go away. And then I also work with the Earth. So this is a different system. Like on this floor here, I put an example of what Earth grid lines look like. So the larger grid, the most toxic grid, is this silver one. It's called the Banker grid, named after a man named Anton Banker. It's actually twice the size of this. I only had so much time and duct tape to do it, so I did a representation.
Yeah.
It would actually be maybe this size, but it's every 30 feet across the globe. The other thing about this grid that's different than the others is it's a cubical structure of energy. So it also has the floor of a magnetic field, but it has the walls and the ceiling, and then it stacks on top of each other. So when I go in, we find where these lines are coming from. Now they run north to south and they run east to west, and they're every 30 feet around the globe. Then you have this white line would be the Hartmann grid, and that's about every 8 to 10 feet running again north to south, east to west. And then we have the Curry grid, which is the purple grid, and that runs on the diagonal from northeast to southwest, northwest to southeast. So we have these lines crisscrossing around each other.
So you have different instruments that actually measure these very distinct grid energy patterns?
No. Well,
how does it work?
I do it through dowsing. That is the ancient way of doing it. Now, there are some very high-tech instruments that can detect some of these geopathic fluctuations, like magnetometers and stuff like that. But we need more instruments.
So what do you do when you dowse and you find these very distinct energy patterns that may be disruptive?
So I mark with, I go to the outside of the property, I use the earth, and I walk from north, south to east, west through a pendulum. For example, I have, this pendulum is designed by a man named Ibrahim Karim. He discovered biogeometry, an Egyptian science. So these come from Egypt. Now this is dialed. It's actually set. It's very, very subtle energy. So this is actually set per grid line. So now I'll walk around the property 4 times to get the different grids. Now the blue is the water lines. So, for example, I'll show you. When this, so I do something called radiesthesia. It's vibrational dowsing. There's 2 kinds of dowsing. There's mental dowsing where you ask yes or no answer, and there's vibrational dowsing where actually the body becomes the pendulum becomes an extension of the body. So the energy will travel up through my body. I will blank my mind. It will come down my arm and move the pendulum. So the pendulum becomes an extension. So I focus on the energy and I go around the property, and I'm going to show you there. This is set for Hartmann and Banker grid, so I'm going to show you one. When it's going up and down like this, there's nothing. When it detects the grid, it will move. Okay, so okay, so there's the start, starting around here. And it's ending there because it's going straight again. So now I know I have a grid here. Now I happen to know that this is either Hartmann or Banker, but because of the width I know that this is a Hartmann grid.
Okay, so once you find all these grids, how do you put it back into better balance or help someone avoid it?
Okay, well this is done through subtle energy. Well, you can move furniture to avoid, but for example, I use these things that are called transducers. I make them there. It's copper pipe and it's filled with a special blend of minerals.
So you place them on the energy grid?
Yeah, so I'm going to place this on the grid and it's wrapped with subtle energy folds.
So outside,
there's the middle of the grid.
So outside you place these different grids outside?
Buried in the ground.
Buried in the ground, okay, yeah, so that's how you deal with that.
That's how I deal with that. Now you'll see. This will clear, if this is your property, this will clear because this is the source end of the energy path. It's coming from east to west. So on this side it will not be clear, and on this side it should be clear if I've done my work properly. So
okay, we got it.
You'll see. So again, if it goes around, it's not clear. Right? So I'm going to this side of it. There's the start of the grid, like before. There's the end, right? So it's not clear over here. If I go to this side, now I'm just measuring the energy that's coming off the blend. It's clear. You can see it's not going around.
Okay, so say if you're at a trade show like this or consumer show, in a person's booth, would you be able to clear out their energy by using these?
This here.
And play, what is it not?
No, I didn't do this, coming this way because people would trip over the...
So what would you do? You don't have to tape it. That taping is only to show where the different energy patterns are.
The taping is just a mock-up, yeah, but here I actually put these just around the booth.
Ah, see, oh, there we go.
So,
okay.
So I actually did this booth for me because I don't want to sit on it.
Right.
But
so you're not as tired? So you wouldn't be as tired during the day then at your booth?
That's right. Now I just did this as a mock-up of a representation, but it's very feasible in a 10 by 10 room that if your bed was here, you would be on a Banker crossing, a Hartmann crossing, a Curry crossing, you'd be over an underground water vein, and you'd be feeling probably pretty much like that.
Great. Okay. You know. So for more information, your website?
LucySanford.com, and there's a free download kit. Just download it and you can get what you can do for yourself, at least for the electromagnetic stuff. For the earth stuff, that's very, you need to hire me.
Great.
Or someone else, but you need to.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.